Faith and Hope with Sweet Tea and Sass, encouraging couples to reconnect with God and with each other so they can live their happily ever after too.
Welcome back to another episode of Hope and Faith with Sweet Tea and Sass. Today, we're going to talk about the unlikely meeting. We're going to talk about way back when we actually met. He became Sweet Tea as he's having his sweet tea now. I told you it runs in his blood. And how we got through that time in our lives and give you a little glimpse into what we did and maybe what you should or shouldn't do.
Who's to say?
Yeah.
Everybody's story is a little bit different, but this is our story.
So the unlikely meeting. I was a rebellious teenager. At 18 in August, after graduation, I was out bar hopping. Oh no, this is a Christian station with a Christian theme, and you're talking about faith and hope in God. Yes, because God can even save you out of a bar or a prison or a drug alley or anywhere else, because Jesus said he came to seek those who were lost, not the ones that are already in church and saved. Although I was saved, I was just extremely backslidden. I had been saved since I was 5. I had gone down and made a profession of faith and been baptized, but I was not living for the Lord, needless to say. I was out running around with friends, being 18 years old and enjoying myself. Single, happy, and free to be was my motto. And I was out bar hopping with a friend of mine, and we had come out of one bar, and we decided we were going to take a drive around the square. Back in the day, that's what we did. We drove around the square, checking out to see who else was out there, who else was talking to who, and who was doing what. And on the way to the car, my friend stopped to talk to these two guys that I don't know if she knew them or not. I don't know who they were. I wasn't interested. I just went on to my car, sat down on the bumper, and sat there and was just waiting for her impatiently and just scoping out what was going on. And then
I had been out with friends that night and started out roller skating as a 21-year-old. What else was he going to do? I didn't do the bar scene. I tried that, but it didn't flip any switches for me. Anyway,
he don't dance.
I don't dance. I can't carry a tune in a bucket. So anyway, we were out running the roads. We had been roller skating, gone to the racetrack to watch some dirt track racing, and out on the west side of town, car geek, and cruising town in my truck. And we decided, what the heck? Let's cruise through the square. It's Saturday night. Everybody's downtown that we know. So let's go see who's down there. Well, I'm cruising along, got the window down, the radio blaring, listening to my rock and roll. My friend's hanging out his side of the truck, hollering at people that he knows. And lo and behold, I looked out my window and there was this brunette.
There was an angel.
And I don't know where the brunette went. I think kids did that.
Yeah, it's there. There's still some in there somewhere.
It's hiding in there. But there was this, oh my goodness, gorgeous girl sitting there on the trunk of her car. I thought, okay. So I made a U-turn right in front of a cop. pulled up beside her car there and started talking to her through the window, and the cop drove by and he gave me a dirty look. I just waved. I didn't do anything dumb. And everybody makes a U-turn there in the square, but he was just making sure everything was copacetic.
He's making sure he wasn't drunk.
And so we started talking, and I said, "Hey, I'm blocking traffic. Let's go over here and into a parking lot so we can talk more." And she said, "Sure, I'll meet you over there in a minute. Let me get my friend." So
now this is where I come into the story.
So I turn around and go over to the parking lot where we said to meet, and friend looked at me and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Never know."
And I went back to my car, and my friend is still over talking to these two guys. And I yelled at her. I said, "Hey, I'm going over to meet this guy in the parking lot. If you're coming with me, you better come on and quit talking to the jailbait and let's go." Because they were clearly underage and couldn't go in any of the places we were at. And they just weren't interesting. This guy was interesting. Besides, he was really cute. Like I said earlier, long blonde hair, feathered, and he had no shirt on. He was really hot. So I said, "We're going over there. I'm going over there. You can stay or you can go." So she jumped in the car. The funny part was the two guys she was talking to stopped traffic so we could back out, so we could go meet the other guys. We went over to the parking lot where they were, and I'm circling around trying to find them. And she goes, "That's them over there." And I'm like, "No, that guy didn't have a shirt on." She goes, "He put a shirt on." Like, all I got, I'm thinking he's a cute guy, hot guy with no shirt. So we pull up and we stop, and he's over there talking to him and his friend, to a guy I went to high school with, and another girl. So I felt a little bit better about it because I knew this guy from high school. Well, he knew them also. And so
We went to rival high schools, but I still knew this gentleman that she's talking about.
yes, and he and I went to rival high schools, graduated 3 years apart. Never knew each other when we were in high school.
Nope.
So we stopped, we went over. The four of them are standing there, him and his friend, and the two friends that we know mutually, because the girl that was with the guy I went to high school with him. And then my friend and I. And my friend is waiting for her boyfriend to get off work and come down there. So we're all standing around chit-chatting, talking. And he says, "Hey," to his friend, "why don't you go turn the stereo on in my truck, and play some music?" So he walks over to the truck and my friend follows him. Well, the next thing I know, I look over there and they're making out. And I'm like, "Hey, you don't need to be doing that." And she's like, "Why? You're standing over there talking to him." Like, "I don't have a boyfriend." As soon as I said that, he makes one step closer to me and holds my hand, y'all.
Yep.
Made his move. Oh, sweet tea, just like molasses. Stepped over and held my hand.
Yep. Been holding her hand ever since.
I thought, "Oh, isn't he sweet? He's just so sweet. He's going to hold my hand." And we stood there talking, holding hands.
And we talked for probably an hour and a half there.
At least.
And then I said, "Well, I got to go.
Reluctantly.
I got to get up and go to work in the morning. I got to be at work at 6. And so I need to go. And this is about 1:00 in the morning. So I said, "I need to go. I want your phone number so I can give you a call tomorrow when I get off work, or I'll call you tomorrow at lunch."
And you know what I said? Well, he said, this is really the whole story, because I'm the one into details. The whole story is that he says, "Well, I would really like to see you again, but I have a family reunion down in South Texas on Saturday. Down in South Texas. Yeah, on Sunday. I have to work tomorrow and we're leaving right after work. And then I have a family reunion on Sunday and I'll be back Sunday night. So I'd like your number so I can call you on Sunday when I get back from the family reunion." Well, my background being what it was, I don't trust men. Men are not trustworthy. They had already proven that to me from conception. They run out on you. They leave you. They're just no good. So I was just like, "Yeah, right. You got another girl you're going to see." I didn't say that to him, but that's exactly what I was thinking. You got a date with another girl tomorrow night and you don't want me to know about it. You just want to play the field. It's fine. I'll give you my number, but whatever. So I gave him my number. He gave me a little peck on the mouth and off we went. He went home.
Got up the next morning, went to work,
And
called her at lunch.
I drug on home around 2-3 o'clock in the morning and passed out in the bed. And me and my friend stayed over. She stayed over, and we're still sleeping when he called at lunch the next day.
And I asked to speak to Elizabeth, and her mom begrudgingly went and woke her up
Yep. And I went and I was texting Tina. I was like, is that guy we met, that one we stopped in the parking lot and talked to? What was his name? It was a vowel name. It started with a vowel. I can't remember what his name was. We'd been bar hopping. And I'm not telling you that we had not been drinking, because we had. And I was trying to think, what was his name? It was a vowel name.
Anyway,
Fortunately, he told me on the phone what his name was again.
so we talked for, I don't know, 5-10 minutes on the
Yeah, you
phone.
were on your lunch break.
And so I had to get back to work
The story was still the same, the family reunion.
and got off work that night and loaded up in the car with mom and dad and my sisters, and off to South Texas we went.
21-year-old loading up with his mom and his sisters and was in the car and going to family reunion. Yeah, right.
It gets better. So we get back Sunday afternoon and I said, hey, I want to call you. I'm home from the family reunion. I want to come out and see you, but I'm going to have ice cream with my mom and dad first before I come out, and I'll be out in about an hour. So she gave me her address and told me how to get there. And
I'm thinking, what is wrong with this guy? He's cute as he can be. He's hot, but he doesn't bar hop. He will only hold my hand only after I announce that I don't have a boyfriend. He goes to family reunions and he's having ice cream with his parents. I can't wait to get away from mine, and he's having ice cream with his. What is wrong with him? I had no idea, but I had every intention of finding out.
so I came out to the house that night. I don't know. I was out there a couple hours, 3 hours.
Oh, I don't know, but I want you to tell them what happened when you got there.
Oh boy. I walked in or I knocked on the door and she met me at the door, and I came in and her mom and dad were in there.
Not
Her
my dad.
her stepdad were in the kitchen there, and her little sister and brother, and I walked in and
I introduced you to my stepdad.
yep, I shook his hand, and her mom turned around and
I introduced you to my mom.
and I said, "Hi, Mom." And the flames went flying.
Straight out her eyes.
You got to remember, in that day, everybody that you knew as a friend, their mom was mom, their dad was dad. You know, you walk in, everybody was mom, everybody was dad. At least that's the way it was with all of my friends in town. I assumed it would have been the same way with her, but
no, it wasn't that
apparently,
way with her.
be careful what you assume.
Yeah,
'Cause,
just don't assume. That's the best policy.
so anyway, her flames were flying out of her eyes and out of her ears, and you could just see the hatred coming out of this woman. And I thought,
Immediately,
well, this is going to be interesting. So we I stayed out and visited for I guess 3 hours, 4 hours.
Probably. I don't remember if you stayed for dinner or not.
I don't know. I think it was after dinner when I got out there,
I don't remember.
because I had had dinner at home with mom.
It's been a day or two.
At least a minute.
Yeah. So I don't remember if he stayed for dinner or not. Probably not, the way my mom was acting. She just instantly hated him. Of course, all the guys that she liked, that she wanted me to like, I didn't have any interest in whatsoever. And the ones I liked, she thought were awful. She didn't say anything about him. She just didn't like it. And you could make sure you knew by the way that she was acting that she didn't like it.
Oh yeah, it was first encounter of the
angry kind.
angry kind.
Or maybe the crazy kind. I don't know. Insane kind.
It was an interesting first impression.
It was an interesting first impression, and sad to say it didn't get any better. But that began the unlikely courtship of Sweet Tea and Sass.
Yep. And that was so that was our first meeting.
That was how we met. Me bar hopping and him having ice cream with his parents. How weird is that? And you know what? Up until about a year and a half ago, we still had ice cream with his parents.
Yep.
But now his parents are having ice cream with Jesus.
Yep.
And you know what? One day we're going to have ice cream with his parents, with Jesus. Because I know Jesus loves ice cream too.
He's got to.
He's got to. Who wouldn't love ice cream? Unfortunately, my mother is lactose intolerant, and 2 of our children had inherited that. So they can't have ice cream with us unless we get the lactate stuff.
Which ain't so bad if you put chocolate syrup on it. Cover it with chocolate syrup. Everything's better with chocolate syrup.
But, that also set in motion my mother trying to convince me of every other guy that I knew, how great they were, and how I should call this guy I went to school with, or call that guy I went to school with. And, well, have you talked to so-and-so since you got out of school? This is August. And I'd only gotten out of school in May, and I was starting college in probably a couple of weeks. And, of course I was having to go college local because I had to still take care of my brother and sister. At that time, they were 10 and 5. And so I had to go to school and then be home to take care of them and to cook and to clean and to do all those things so that they could work. And so she was pushing other guys real hard and pushing college real hard. And I don't fault her for pushing college, because she really did have a strong desire for me to go to college and to be the first college graduate in our family. And I wasn't the first college graduate in the family. However, I am the only one with a doctorate degree. So just because you make different choices does not mean that changes what the outcome's going to be. You have to make your choices that are right for you. And I made the right choices for me. And at the time, I didn't know if it was the right choice or not.
I did. That night I met her. My friend that was riding with me in the truck on the way home. I looked at him and I told him, I said, I'm going to marry that girl. And he looked at me and he said, now I know you're stark raving mad now. There is no way in the world you're going to marry that girl. I said, you watch. I am going to marry that girl. I knew the night I met her, she was the one for me.
And if he had told me that the night he met me, I would have run like lightning the other direction. He waited about 2 weeks. And he said, I want to marry you. And I'm like, you're crazy. I don't want to get married. I'm going to go to college and I'm single and I don't want to get married. Well, I'm not going to tell you the rest of the story.
That's another day.
Obviously, that's for another episode.
Yeah.
But obviously, we're sitting here talking to you. So He must have known what he was talking about.
Yep, I did.
And here we are today.
I had been praying to God, show me the one. I'm tired of like I said, I'm tired of the dating game. I'm tired of this running around, and I'm ready to settle down. And who is she and where is she? And
she's downtown in a bar.
And I said, show me the one.
That's the thing about God. When you're reading the Bible, if you think about it and you think about it, you're praying to God for something, sit down and read a story in the Bible, like the story of the flood. When God does something, he does it the weirdest way it could possibly be done. Okay, yep. I want you to build a boat.
And it's never rained.
And it's never rained. Or the story of the walls of Jericho falling down. I want you to just march around the city every day.
For 7 days.
For 7 days. And the walls are going to fall down. God is going to do it the weirdest way possible. And the reason he does that is because he wants it to be no other way but him.
Exactly.
He wants you to say, that's got to be God. Because nobody else could have done it if it's God. And it's the same way in our lives today. If you see something happen and it's the weirdest way it could possibly happen, it's God.
Yep.
And that's, when things like this happen, it's just like, it's got to be God, because there's just no other way it could have worked out but God. And that's one of my favorite things to tell people is don't stop at the comma, because the good stuff comes after the comma. it always says,
But God.
this happened, but God, comma, but God. But God entered the scene, and then everything good comes. So don't stop at the comma. And God, he intervened and he made it, and he made it work out. And here we sit today.
And here we sit today.
But how we got here, you'll have to tune in again next week to find out. Until then, it's Sweet Tea and Sass. Wishing you a happy week and faith and hope. Bye.
Bye, y'all.